and welcome to this masterclass from The Banker in association with Avanade on the topic of human-centered digital banking. I'm Kimberley Long, Asia editor of The Banker, and in this first chapter I'm joined by Michelle Baxter, Global Financial Services Leader at Avanade, as she gives her views on how banks can bring personalised services back to their customers. Thanks for joining us, Michelle.
Thank you.
Banking has become so much more technologically advanced in recent years. How do you think this has impacted on the customer experience?
So the pandemic has seen all customer groups become increasingly digital, and the lines between the different demographic groups that used to bank online are blurred. However, with all this focus on digital and the vast array of choices that a typical banking customer has at hand, most basic financial services still require a customer to speak with someone, ideally an expert. And if human interaction is handled well, then that human touch will greatly increase the loyalty of the customer. Gartner research agrees in the value of human touch. They found that not only will customers return to branches post-pandemic, but that those customers using a mix of digital and human channels has a higher revenue potential than digital alone. I found it surprising that actually the youngest customer demographic in this study was the least likely to select a digital-first engagement. We don't know if it's that they like to go to the branch or that they value the ability to connect with a person. I'm going to guess it's more of the contact center channel, but I thought that was a very interesting statistic. And then digital only customers are most likely to be neutral. In other words, neither positive nor negative. They're not likely to be sticky. And Accenture research concurs that digital on its own seldom differentiates the bank and makes a customer feel special or builds authentic relationships. So that growth of a customer is about value and trust. Human interaction coupled with the digital is critical to winning back customer trust. Banks need to find a way to put humanity back in banking.
We're experiencing a period globally of rising costs and inflation. How can banks help their customers through this?
So this is a turbulent time, right? And so when we think again about digital versus human interactions, this notion of a customer in this state really, needs that personal touch. Customers, having typically filled out forms and navigated on their own through a sea of information, or worst of all, being hit with offers that are not relevant to them given the turbulent times, it actually does the bank a disservice. It shows that the bank does not know them and is not using their information to serve them better. Technology can be a double-edged sword, especially right now. Although it can open up new engagement channels, it can ultimately depersonalize the experience, eroding trust, and then widening the disconnect between the customers and their bank. Customers can rate your app, 4.8 out of 5, and that just demonstrates transactional focus. But banks have effectively lost the connection to the customer. The challenge is to be a digital bank with all of the elements that implies: cost reduction, automation, simplified processes, but then also create an authentic and rich and nuanced engagement. Digital by default, yet truly human. Banks need to focus, particularly right now, on their efforts rebuilding and acting with empathy, helping customers efficiently, and building differentiated, personalized services. Think teams as the new form factor. So if banks change the process for opening new accounts and providing wealth, leveraging collaboration tools, so it's literally and figuratively transparent and transformative. Getting all parties into one virtual room, the client, the underwriter, perhaps an account manager, having a conversation, looking at the screen is a completely different way of operating and something our clients are doing right now. They're scheduling meetings with customers, they're using Teams the way individuals have come accustomed to through the pandemic, like we never expected. And then consider the opportunity that metaverse brings. We're utilizing the metaverse for a variety of sectors. Why not banking? In the metaverse, you can be anything you want, but for a bank, something I find really interesting is that you can be anyone that your customers want. And from a diversity and inclusion perspective, that opportunity is boundless.
That sounds like a really interesting development. Can you give an example?
Sure. For a North American bank, we've been working closely on an end-to-end personalized virtual banking system. It will be completely secure, and every interaction will be mined for data. So it's a mobile portal, right? And the staff will join an intuitive dashboard. They'll book meetings through Outlook with their customers. They can assign tasks and chat with the client. Every conversation leads to a product application submission and can be tracked. Clicking on that client profile gives immediate context. So all the messages, activities, and products owned by that customer, outstanding tasks and documents are all in one place. No toggling between systems. It's all done without emails or calls to the contact center. which solves a major pain point and not only frees up capacity, but changes that customer engagement model entirely. This notion of a single pane of glass is what we're using here. So this is Microsoft's unified customer profile, an integrated view of messages and outstanding activities and everything that customer is doing. So we've designed personas, which is nothing new. We've driven this out of intents. So what is that customer looking to do? What kind of engagement meeting do we have to have? And we've captured the human element and technical business requirements at each stage of the journey, which the client valued. This is a strategy we defined in 8 weeks. And what's now happening is the bank is implementing this, and it'll be up and running. And now they're thinking about metaverse and how that plugs in. So it's a great example of how this model is being used now, and during these turbulent times, it's going to be highly valued by customers.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle.
Sure.